Hello everyone, welcome back to a new episode of Why Did I Lose, the Prismata series where I analyze viewer games and tell you why I think you lost. This one comes to us from a YouTube viewer who goes by the username, the Prismata username of, oh shoot, I'm forgetting it already. Nonsensinator, I think? Anyway, so we're going to play a game against Masterbot to show you how I think the set ought to be played. And then we'll look at the game that was actually played. So as always, if you'd like to, now's a good time to pause the video and plan out how you would play this set. Welcome back. This is a tough one, I gotta say. Well, like, there's Absorb Denial via a lot of things. Wild Drone, Scorch, Lance Tooth. Proto, I guess, in a way. Proto, by the way, is kind of like an interesting synergy with Scorch. If your opponent is going for something that does regular attacks and wants regular absorb, you can like try to sync up your Protos, or sync up your Scorches, and then absorb with Protos, but don't click them to save them up for the Scorch turns. Kind of a cool thing. Frostbite is another way you can accumulate threat against such an opponent, maybe. Although if you're spending all your red every turn on Protos, you won't be able to buy bites. But you know, maybe there'll be some turn when you don't need to, or you could get them early or something. I don't know. Like maybe you can get 2 Scorches and 2 bites and then get Proto. I don't know. You probably need more total attack than that, but okay. That's like just a thing that is a synergy, but it's not immediately clear how to make that into an entire like build. How about the econ sizes? Kind of low, right? There's no justification here to get a bunch of econ. The best defender in this set is Protoplasm, and it pushes sets towards being quite attacky. Attackers in this set, there's a lot of good ones. Lance Tooth, you know, Scorch, Proto. Asteri is good in its own way. You could try some sort of like semi-breach proof Wild Drone plus Asteri, maybe. I don't think that would work very well, but you could try it. And you could try like Absorb Denial via Lance Tooth. Like with Wild Drone, you can deal 0 damage for quite a long time, typically. Although you have to give your opponent Wild Drone value, sort of, to do that. So it's a trade-off. I don't really think Arms Race is a thing here. Like, I don't know, maybe some build might get one of them or something. But I'd rather just go for like Scorches and Protos or like Lance Tooths and Boreholes. The bigger question is like, do you get Wilds? They kind of make it easier for the opponent Lance Tooth and Scorches to get value. But that's maybe not the end of the world. I think I'm just going to get regular drones, conduit into turn 3 Animus, buy Scorches, eventually buy Protos. I feel like this should lose to a human player somehow, but I don't know the details of how. I wouldn't be surprised if Masterbot lets it win, but he might find some clever victory. But for sure it's a tough set. I would not be at all surprised to hear top players strongly disagree with calling this a Scorch opening kind of set. But I just think about like Scorch and Bite and Proto. Like, that's a lot of things that all do kind of the same thing well. I actually might just get a Proto next turn. Against 2 attack, it's not amazing, but it's fine, probably. If opponent buys a Rhino, I'm thrilled, but I don't think he should. Yeah. But like, how is a red player going to defend against 14 damage is what I want to know. Oh, I don't need that, yeah. Oh yeah, I do. The Proto has 2 health, right? So I'm only keeping 1 alive this way. So we get the Force Field. And then we just come in and murder everything, right? Oh, whoops, gotta click the Scorches. It's real nice when you can, like, breach and then realize you forgot to click your Scorches, right? Proto here is pretty questionable. A normal human player would hold Rhinos against it, but Masterbot never does, so whatever, I'll take it. And it just makes the defense quite simple. Here, though, I will just absorb again on this same Proto. So maybe that's an argument for having clicked the Rhinos last turn, I don't know. We could maybe get a Forge or something, but Masterbot will give up soon. Or, well, whether he gives up or not, we'll win. So I ended up getting like way more drones than I really should because I didn't really want to add tech, but I also had a bunch of money. I don't know, Tarsiers, Gauss Cannons were like above the absorb barrier anyway. So like the one unit I would say you can't, well no, there's 2 units you can't buy in this set, Lucy and Asteri. Arms Race I don't think you should buy, but maybe there's a line that gets it. Everything else here seems totally playable. Anyway, Masterbot gives up. Let's watch what happened in the game. Oh, by the way, there was a comment with this submission. Hey, I'm pretty inexperienced, and I ended up against one of the higher ranked players with this set. Okay. Right, and it was Cogito. And I did correctly make us player 2. Good, yes, I remember. Okay, so what happened? D1E. Okay. I mean, Wild Drone is a good unit. It's sort of hard to argue with Wild Drone openings in general. But I don't really see a reason here to buy a lot of drones. And I kind of want a Conduit next turn. So doing this makes that impossible. So I'm not a fan yet, but we'll see where this is going. Okay, opponent wants to undercut the Scorches. That's cool. And then you get like 1A next turn, I guess? Yeah. And yikes. Blast Forge does not seem like it's going to work out very well against Scorches and Protos. Right, Scorches and Protos do all the things that Blast Forges don't like. They don't attack regularly, basically, is the main issue. This turn seems fine, I guess. Splitter to spend your blue, conduit to get some better units. 2 wilds to spend your money, sure. I guess we're trying to get a Lance Tooth. What? No, okay, so here's a clear mistake. You never, ever, ever... Well... Unless there's some reason that, like, the health of Wild Drone is useful, which typically would mean you're planning to go breach-proof and you don't want squishy drones. Unless the health of the Wild Drone is valuable, you never buy Wild Drone and float $1. It's just not a thing to do. The point of Wild Drone is, it's like buying... So, it costs $1 less than a drone, right? But, next turn, it gives you 1 fewer dollar. So it kind of evens out economically compared to buying a drone. You have 1 more dollar this turn, and then next turn you lose $1, so you're back to even. And then on all turns thereafter, you're still even because they're each generating $1. So Wild Drone lets you borrow $1 from next turn at the expense of making your Wild Drone one of your drone's frontline. So this is a fine trade to make if you couldn't buy a drone this turn. But if you could buy a regular drone, the $1 you're borrowing just to float it is not really worth anything. And you just took a drone and said, become a Wild Drone. Become frontline, right? Which is typically not something you want to do unless you're planning to get breached. If you're not planning to get breached, a drone is like strictly better than a Wild Drone. Once it's on the table, ignoring how much you have to pay to buy it. Anyway, so we got this patroller to, I guess, start shipping Wild Drones. We might be dreaming of a Lance Tooth, but I don't think it's going to happen with the Scorched Proto turn coming up. It's just going to be pretty horrible. We're in sad shape here. Ooh. Having to hold the splitter is kind of a bummer. We're paying a pixie to kill a wild, which is fine, like that's better than not killing a wild, but not being able to attack means opponent can just like hold the proto longer and buy more scorches or something. Yikes. Oh man, the absorb denial is real, huh? Okay, sure. Pick up a forge so you can defend for, like, 6 per turn. Although you might have trouble buying Scorched Proto, or Wall Proto, if opponent kills any of your drones. I guess it's only 12. Now opponent holds the Proto, which is just, like, so devastating. Whew, very close. And we're kind of just playing base plus patroller, which is going to have some trouble against the powerhouse of protos. Why don't we just get a proto? I would cut the wall and get a proto here as Cogito. Like, I guess opponent might only attack for 1 or 2, but I still love having protos to attack with, so I don't know, this seems sort of silly, but we're clearly winning. So I think the problem basically in this set was going for a high econ Wild Drone opening when there's no justification for high econ. And furthermore, missing the point of Scorch Proto, which is like a pretty cool thing to get. Right, we got sort of countered, right? We bought tech, which buys units that loses to the units opponent was getting. Not necessarily because they're weaker units, but like opponent's units had some synergy together, and that synergy was particularly good against the thing we were trying to do. So it really was like the wrong idea, and our units don't have much synergy. Patroller being vigilant is kind of cool with Wild Drone, I guess. Like, you can be in a spot where you like gambit a patroller, but your opponent should click the wilds. I don't know. But I think Scorch Proto is just like the key thing to do here. And by the way, notice all those wilds we got, like that wild that we got when we could have had a drone. Look how much worse opponent's turn would be. They can't spend 9 or 6 attack on wilds because we only have 2 wilds in that other line. They'd have to like start making decisions about, do you hold Scorch? Do you give a little absorb? This way they just got to like do exactly what they wanted. So we only did the wild drone thing once, right? Yeah. Oh, that's nice anyway. But I think we were kind of doomed by opponent like picking a better unit pair here. Really short analysis today, huh? My Masterbot game went fast. My analysis of what's going on here went fast. Like, we could play out, I guess, like what an opening would look like if, like, what would the game look like if you followed my advice, right? It's not going to look as rosy as the Masterbot game because opponent is undercutting the Scorches, right? And that's pretty cool. But, you know, we get substantially more econ to go with it. This? Sure. And opponent's gonna threaten, like, I don't know, do they even buy a Proto when we're not gonna be attacking? I guess they might if it's threatening enough breach. But we kind of want Proto Wall as our next turn, right? And so this is kind of nice. Proto Wall threatens to defend for 9. Opponent could attack for as much as 10. A little awkward. I mean, we could hold a drone in Proto Wall, I guess. And that requires opponent to buy a Proto, which is kind of not so amazing at the moment. I think they honestly just like buy more Scorches. Oh, do I not even need the wall? I don't. And they're 2 Scorches. Like, I guess they could hold them to deny Proto value a little. Or click 1 to kill a wild. I don't know. Opponent's in sort of an awkward spot in terms of like what they want to do next turn. Not that our position is amazing, but I think we do get a wall. Just because that way if opponent like chooses to attack for a small amount, we can so absorb it on the wall instead of on the Proto. Like, say opponent does this. We don't lose any Proto health. Whereas if they do this, we can lose the wall and absorb on Proto. So this is kind of sort of playing around both possibilities, but not super well. I don't know. I don't think they would. I don't think they would click wilds and click both Scorches. I think they would do this and then make us lose some defense. I don't know. They're both pretty awkward. Maybe you would hold them? And then we say, haha, gotcha, I'm still not going to attack. Opponent might have been too passive holding 2 drones here, actually. And at the same time, too aggressive, like building all these Scorches. Yeah, I feel like I've made enough mistakes for opponent that I think we're going to win here. Like, what do you even do? we're like no longer able to spend red. I guess we hold, yeah, we definitely hold the proto. Yeah, I guess we hold here. And just continue. Here we're keeping, if opponent clicks everything, 4 health alive. So like this maybe? I don't know. Maybe we should click the Scorch, right? Yeah. Keep it synced up instead of desyncing. Well, if we're doing that, we might as well click the protos. Although, I don't know, like... Yeah, sure. Doesn't super matter either way, I guess. It does! Because now opponent doesn't really have the option of absorbing on wall if they want. They have to absorb on proto. Which seems like a fine play for them to make anyway, but now they don't have a choice. This? We just have to like live through this Scorch Wave and we're fine, right? Does opponent click the Scorches? I guess not. But then we don't click our Scorches, and it gets a little bit weird. And the fact that we're up like a couple drones will probably matter. But I guess we're down Scorches. Well, another Proto's not much good right now. I see. Well, if they don't click Scorches, like, they have to find some way to defend them, right? They kind of want to keep 7 health alive, and that's what this does. This defends. Oh, and then these bites are just going to be so horrifying, aren't they? Yeah. We don't even need these. Just get NGs. This should kill them, right? They kind of have to go in here, and then... what? Be dead? I don't know. Let's say they try this. Well, the freeze doesn't even do anything, so they don't do it. Maybe we shouldn't have built so many force fields, but okay, whatever. So, like, this is fine, as in, like, I don't know. Seems like we're just gonna win. Yeah, we get the proto this way, so clearly opponent shouldn't have tried that line. Okay, so anyway, you can see, like, player 1, by cutting for, like, the very early conduit, they've gained some advantage, which is that they're kind of ahead on, like, getting attack and all that stuff. But they've hurt their economy, and we may have a chance to prevail in the end game by just doing the same thing but slower. And then lasting longer, right? Opponent was having to hold drones earlier, couldn't really, like, they had more wilds, so we were able to punish by clicking them with early Scorch Waves, which opponent couldn't do as conveniently since we didn't have as many. And of course, I'm sure I misplayed for opponent, but I don't think that, like, player 2 is doomed in the Scorch Mirror because player 1 gets them first or anything. It seems totally playable to me for player 2, and maybe better for player 2. So that's what I would go for here. It's just no high econ because there's no good reason for it, and then Scorch Proto / Bite because Scorch Proto is great and maybe you can get some bites. Anyway, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.